Today's shout out goes to Transformers Dark of the Moon. I don't know, it's not on my list as a favorite movie, but I tend to watch it quite a bit, so here we are. So, this is what I believe to be the top 10 greatest films of all time. Now, you're not going to see certain films on here that you think you might, and you'll see ones that you definitely thought would never even touch a top 10 greatest movies of all time list. But these are my movies. These are the ones I like the most. These are the ones that are on this list. Anyway, we're going to get into it with the number 10 spot. So, for my number 10, we have Jaws. And honestly, I love this movie so much, I bought the board game for it. And this is called Funkoverse. Really great game, by the way. Sorry to butt in. I also forgot to mention I got the real book and the kids' book. Anyway, back to the movie. Wonderful plot. Great acting. I love this movie so much. It just brings out my love for sharks and shark attack movies and just movies in general. I mean, there's that wonderful scene where they're singing on the boat.
Ready to go home, home, home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago and I got it right to my head.
And they also got this wonderful scene of the boat being attacked by a shark. There's that part that makes me pee myself every single time. I mean, you name it, this movie has it all. I love it. It might draw out for some people, but I think it's super fun, super incredible. I'm so glad this movie was made, and I'm glad it wasn't a flop like they thought it was going to be. Anyway, we're going to move on to my number 9 spot. At my number 9 spot, we have The Night of the Living Dead, and as you can tell, I love it so much, I bought a board game of it. This movie is amazing. I mean, they had like $10 to make it, and it has probably some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. It's invented so much for the horror genre. I mean, so much of the angles you see nowadays are because of this movie. It just got, and also the suspense in it. I mean, it just gives you this feeling of dread and sadness the whole time as you watch the entire thing. It is incredible. I can't say that enough. I love it. The acting, I thought was really good. Some people say it's bad. I think the acting is amazing. I think all the characters are unique. That's why I know all their names. There's just not one thing I hate about this movie. I think it's a very 100% altogether, well put together film, and I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad I also own multiple copies of it. Thank you, George A. Romero, for giving me this masterpiece. And another thing I just forgot to mention, I'm not a huge zombie movie fan. This movie, though, it's something different than what I usually see in other zombie movies, and I love it. It's amazing. Anyway, now we're going to continue.
Oh, baby.
And at number 8 is The Magnificent Seven. Sadly, I don't have a merch for this one, guys. Now, this is the old Western version of The Seven Samurai, another spectacular film. In fact, these two movies were what was fighting for this spot on my list, so that's why I'm also going to talk about Seven Samurai. Great film. Both of them have the same premise. A bunch of warriors that have like no actual need to defend this town of people who are being attacked every day decide to go to defend it out of the goodness of their hearts. I mean, they're getting underpaid, and they were even lied to a little bit. But they still fight to, like, they put their whole lives into protecting this town. They train them how to fight, and in the end of the day, some of them even die, and they just move on with their lives. I mean, it's an incredible movie. Wonderful. Definitely check this one out. It is a beautiful film and a Western masterpiece.
777, the Magnificent Seven.
Flying in at number 7, we have Superman 2. This is the greatest superhero film of all time, hands down. It's the best. It's got one of the greatest fights. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's fun. It's got the best Superman to ever portray Superman ever, Christopher Reeve. General Zod is an amazing villain. I mean, sure, he's got that weird bathrobe thing, but he does a great job. And he still is as sinister as he ever was today as he was back then. Superman does have a bunch of ridiculous powers in this one. He like throws his emblem at people. He's able to kiss Lois and she'll forget that he was ever Superman, which is kind of an odd power to throw in. This has got to be one of the best films in the superhero genre ever, and what I think is one of the best films to ever exist because it's just fun. It's out there. I love it, and I think you'll love it too. Definitely watch this one, and you'll probably have a great time. At number 6, we have one of the greatest kung fu movies of all time, Enter the Dragon. It's so great, I got a collector's edition of it. I mean, I just cannot tell you how great this movie is. It's Bruce Lee's last movie. The fighting in it, the choreography is great, the story's fun. It's short, it's sweet. It's not really a sweet movie, but you know what I mean. It's just great all around. Cinematography, the fighting, the acting, you name it, it's got it. The villain in it is really cool. I love it. I mean, that's why I bought the collector's edition of the movie. Actually, it was because I saw it on TV once, and I was like, you know what? I should pick that up. I found a collector's edition, and it comes with some pretty cool stuff in this envelope, which I'm going to show you probably not today, maybe when I actually review the movie. I just think that it does not get better than this for Kung Fu movies, except for one movie, which is going to be later on this list. Anyway, it is time for my honorable mentions, so here we go. Now, for my honorable mentions, the first one is I was planning on having a Middle-earth movie on here. One of the ones, mainly what I was thinking of is one of the 6 live-action ones. But then I realized, well, War of the Rohirrim's coming out. If that blows me away, I won't be able to, I can just go back and fix it. I'm going to see it this month. That's why, I didn't put it on here. And not only that, but with these movies, like, besides, I don't think I would pick Battle of the Five Armies or Desolation of Smaug, but like besides that, those 4, I think these 4 are the best out of the whole thing, and I just have trouble picking which one is my ultimate favorite. I was leaning towards Return of the King, but then I realized I like some things about Fellowship, I like some things about other ones, so that is for another time. Maybe I'll come out with a top 20, and it might be on that, but we're going to wait and see. Anyway, to my next honorable mention.
Du Savoy affair, il y a, n'est-ce pas? Is.
You took the words right out of my mouth, PJ.
We also have Disney's Robin Hood on my honorable mentions. Now, this movie is a very underrated Disney film. I find it super fun. I think all the characters in this are iconic. The dialogue's amazing. It's funny. It's fun. And it's just it's just such a great movie and a full-fledged, wonderful experience the whole way through. I think this is flawless. I'm not sure what the problem with it was. I actually never looked into it. I know a lot of people did not like this movie, but I think it was amazing. From the singing chicken to Robin Hood himself with Little John, Prince John, my favorite character of the entire film. Everything about it, just so amazing. We're going to get on to my next one. This one's Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It's actually a rather modern one. I think it's really fun. Honestly, this has like everything I like in it. The style of it, the animation, the humor, just everything all around. I loved it. Like, it was a great action movie too, an amazing villain. I think this was just a perfect movie all the way around, and I'm glad it came out. I honestly went into this movie expecting it just to be a meh type of experience. Whenever my parents said we're going to go out and see this movie, I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, I wanted to see it, but I mean, it wasn't one I really wanted to see because I didn't think it was any good. I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't even see a trailer, like a full-fledged trailer to this movie till it came out. And whenever I saw it, I was blown away in the theater. Man, was it good. And for my number 5 spot, Ip Man. That's right, and I got the collector's edition. You know I did. This is a beautiful, beautiful collector's edition, by the way. Definitely pick it up if you're a fan of the movie. It's a steelbook. And this has got to be what I think is the greatest kung fu movie of all time. The action, the story, the emotion. It's just all around wonderful. The fight scenes in it. This is what actually got me to fall in love with the kung fu movie genre, which you're going to see whenever whenever we go down the road and I start reviewing way more movies. This has got to be one of the best kung fu movies, what I think is the best kung fu movie of all time. That's why Enter the Dragon wasn't right here, because this one is my overall favorite. Now, time for my number 3 spot. Now, my number 4 spot on here is the most surprising and shocking on this whole list, and that is Disney's Pixar's Cars. I love this movie, and I don't care if you think it's a terrible movie. I love it. This is my movie. I've watched this thing so much that I wore the disc out at my parents' house, at my grandparents' house, and I watched it with my cousin all the time. This movie is a masterpiece. I don't care what you say. I know I see it on lists all the time. Cars was such a bad movie. It's the worst Pixar movie. Shut up. Shut your mouth. This thing is incredible. It's a masterpiece. Definitely watch it. And now for my number 3 spot, John Wick 4. This has got to be the greatest action movie ever created. I love it. You would love it too if you watch it. If you're a fan of action movies, that is. I mean, from the acting, it has it all. Everything you can ever want in an action movie, this movie has stuffed in it. It's a bit of a stretch for runtime, but I absolutely loved every minute of it. And especially, they have like a 45-minute fight scene. That's why it's so long. And I didn't even know it was 45 minutes. It felt like 10. I mean, it was incredible all the way around. A beautiful ending and it was just... It was wonderful. I wish I had I wish this one as well, I had a collector's edition to show you. If I ever find one that looks really cool and I can pick up, I'll definitely pick it up, and then I'll show it whenever I finally review that movie, which will be reviewed on this channel at some time or another. Now to my number 2 spot. Now for my number 2 spot is actually a tie, because I love both these movies equally. I cannot decide which one I like more. It depends on, for most people, it just depends on like what type of era they like their movies. But Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One, the original Godzilla from 1954 and Godzilla Minus One, both of them are absolute masterpieces. I love them. I can watch them over and over and over and never get tired. In fact, I actually got to see this one in theaters, and it was the best theater experience I've ever had for a movie. I mean, just the sounds all around you, the visuals on screen. And this Godzilla right here is terrifying. And another thing that's terrifying is the original, because you get like this eerie, dread, sort of sad, empty feeling with the original. The other one gives you that too. It's just beautiful, both films, all the way around. I think Godzilla Minus One was probably the best reboot for a Godzilla I've ever seen. The best reboot for a Godzilla I've ever seen. I loved it. Whenever I get to the Godzilla movies, man, you're gonna be blown away. But I love Godzilla Minus One. I love Godzilla 1954 with their messages, the acting, everything about it. But now it's time for me to get to the one movie that I think is the best film ever created. Now for my number 1 spot, what I think is the greatest movie to ever be put together with 2 human hands. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. I got 2 collector's editions of it. I got the Blu-ray one, and I got the original theatrical cut on DVD. This thing is super rare and super hard to get, and I got it. Mwah! I love this movie, and you know I got merch for it. I mean, just look right back there. I got my Star Wars Celebration poster. I got my Jabba's Palace setup. I got the giant Ewok right there. I got other Star Wars. Hey, I got a model of Jabba's Palace, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg. If I showed you all my Star Wars merch, you would be here for probably a year. I love Star Wars. It would have probably taken up most of this list if I made this a top 10 Star Wars, like if I made this a top 10 list with my favorite movies. Star Wars would have probably made a good chunk of it, but this one is the best. Star Wars Return of the Jedi has got to be my favorite movie of all time. From the amazing ending, just how fun the film is, with sure like all the goofy weird creatures. I love it all. It has got to be what I think is the greatest cinematic masterpiece to ever be put to screen. I think you'll love it if you see it. I know you'll love it if you see it. Now that about wraps it up for my top 10 movie list. I would love to see your list down below in the comments. Please put your top 10 movies, or at least your top 5, or even just your favorite movie down in the comments, just so I can see what you guys like, just so I can know what to review next, because I would love to review some of your guys' favorites. Don't be ashamed. Other people on the internet don't know who you are. Put it down there so I can see, so we can all know a little bit more about who's following this channel. Anyway, that's my top 10. That wraps up this video. I'm Roman Ritchie, and this has been a Random Ritchie ranking list. Have a great day, everyone.